I remember exactly what she said, like it was stitched into the lining of my memory. "You're not sick, you're just lazy." She said it without flinching, without shame, like it was medical fact. I sat across from her, hands clenched together, the paper sheet crinkling under me. I had told her I was tired all the time, that my joints ached, that I felt like my body was betraying me. I told her I had tried everything, the diets, the gym memberships, the fasting, the calorie counting. But she didn't even look up from her clipboard. She just clicked her pen, tilted her head, and said, "Then stop making excuses. You want to be smaller? Try harder." That moment broke something inside me, but I didn't cry. Not then. I thanked her. I nodded. I left. And when I got home, I broke down in the bathroom, biting down on a towel so my roommates wouldn't hear me sob. I felt worthless, hopeless. Like maybe she was right. Maybe I was just lazy. But something inside me, something quiet, something small, didn't die. Instead, it whispered, "She's wrong." And that whisper would grow louder over the years, louder and stronger, until one day, I would look into the eyes of a girl just like me and say all the things I never got to hear. If this story hits close to home, drop a comment with your city and subscribe. You're not alone, and this isn't the end of your story. My relationship with food didn't start with guilt. It started with love. Or at least, that's what it looked like when I was little. I was the youngest of 4 and the quietest. My mama worked double shifts, and my daddy was long gone before I ever knew what the word father really meant. We didn't have much, but we had big meals. Stews that simmered all Sunday, biscuits that crumbled like clouds. And when Mama was too tired to talk, she cooked. Her silence was made of fried chicken and peach cobbler, and I ate every bite like I was trying to keep her from falling apart. Food was warmth, food was safety, food was the only thing in our house that always showed up when I needed it. But somewhere along the way, the warmth turned cold. I don't remember the exact moment it changed. Maybe it was when a teacher called me husky during gym class, or when a boy in 6th grade mooed when I bent over, or when Mama started buying Slim Fast and hiding it behind the sugar. Suddenly, food became the enemy, and I became the battlefield. Every meal was a negotiation. Every bite was either punishment or reward. I learned to eat fast, so no one would watch. I learned to skip meals, then binge in the dark. I learned to lie. "I already ate," I'd say, while my stomach growled like thunder. At 13, I wrote in my journal, "Maybe if I disappear, they'll leave me alone." I didn't want to be thin to feel pretty. I wanted to be thin to feel safe. By high school, I had already tried 3 different diets. Cabbage soup, no carb, the lemonade cleanse. I passed out once during gym and blamed it on the heat. But the truth was, I hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. No one asked. They never do when you're fat. If you collapse, it's your fault. If you cry, you're dramatic. If you eat, you're disgusting. And if you starve, you're finally trying. I hated my body with a kind of precision only shame can teach. Every time someone complimented my weight loss, it was like putting a ribbon on top of self-destruction. "You look amazing," they'd say, while my hair thinned and my nails broke from malnutrition. But compliments are addictive. And I was starving. For approval, for kindness, for someone to see me as more than a number on a scale. So I kept shrinking, and smiling, and disappearing. At one point, I lost nearly 60 pounds. People said I glowed. Boys flirted with me for the first time. Teachers called me disciplined. I was praised for hurting myself. But I couldn't keep it up. My body fought back. The hunger became unbearable. The binges returned, more violent, more desperate. And the shame doubled. I told myself I'd start over Monday. Every Monday. For years. I thought I had a willpower problem. I thought I was broken. I didn't know back then that my body was trying to survive. That starvation wasn't strength. It was trauma. No one told me that. Instead, I kept going to nutritionists who gave me printouts of food pyramids and calorie charts. They told me to eat like a bird, move like a cheetah, and think like a soldier. "It's all in your head," one of them said. "You just need to want it bad enough." So I tried harder. I measured my cereal, I cried in dressing rooms. I stepped on the scale daily like it was an altar. I repented for every pound. But nothing worked, because the problem wasn't just food. It was the war I'd been forced to fight inside my own body since I was a child. And every so-called expert I met just handed me sharper weapons. Until that one nutritionist, the one who looked me in the eye and called me lazy. That was the moment something snapped. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to plant a seed. A question. What if she was wrong? What if I wasn't lazy? What if I was just tired of being hurt by people who were supposed to help me? That question sat inside me for years, like a tiny ember buried beneath the ashes of my shame. I didn't know it yet, but it would change everything. I kept going to them because I was taught they knew better. Nutritionists, trainers, doctors, wellness coaches with six-pack abs and smooth voices. They had degrees, certifications, white coats, clipboards and smiles. I walked into their offices hoping, begging for answers. And every time, I left carrying new wounds dressed up as advice. Track everything that goes in your mouth, one said, handing me a food log. Even gum, even mints. I nodded, eager to please. I wanted to be the good fat girl, the one who listens, who tries. I logged every bite, every sip. But after 3 weeks, I started lying. I didn't want to write down the extra slice of toast or the midnight crackers. I felt dirty, like a criminal confessing sins. You didn't lose weight this week, she said, frowning. Are you being honest with yourself? Another time, a male trainer poked my stomach with a pen. This is all lifestyle, he said. This doesn't happen to people who care. I laughed awkwardly, pretending it didn't sting, but I felt myself slipping again. The shame was back, thick and suffocating. These weren't just strangers. These were people I trusted, people I paid to help me, but their help felt like punishment. And every failed plan, every rebound, only deepened my belief that I was beyond repair. I once sat in a weight loss seminar where the speaker said, "Obesity is a choice. Discipline is the cure." The room applauded. I shrank deeper into my chair. That night, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror and whispered, "If I'm choosing this, why would I ever choose to suffer?" But no one answered. I thought maybe I was broken, unfixable. And still, I kept searching, because the pain of giving up felt worse than the pain of trying again. One nutritionist, a woman in her 30s, had an office full of pastel colors and inspirational quotes on the wall. I thought, maybe this time, maybe she'll be different. She wasn't cruel, just condescending. Your hunger cues are probably broken, she said. You can't trust your body right now. Just follow the plan. She gave me a laminated meal chart. Everything was measured, scheduled, restricted. Your body will thank you later, she smiled. But my body didn't thank me. It rebelled. Headaches, fatigue, mood swings, cravings that felt like screams. I blamed myself, not the plan. That's what diet culture teaches us. If it fails, it's never the plan. It's always you. Eventually, I stopped seeing her. Not with a bang, but a whimper. I just never went back. I couldn't face another weigh-in that felt like a trial. Another stare that said, "You're still not enough." I kept all the printouts in a drawer under my bed. Pages of rules, forbidden foods, motivational slogans. Sometimes I'd pull them out, read through them like old love letters from someone who never really loved me. They all said the same thing in different fonts: shrink, disappear, be less. And every time I failed, I felt like I was failing them. Not just myself. I didn't realize until much later that what I needed wasn't someone to fix me. I needed someone to believe I wasn't broken. And I had never met that person. Not in any clinic, not in any office, not in any Instagram post promising food freedom while selling detox tea. I didn't need more rules. I needed safety. I needed to be seen without being judged. I needed someone to ask, "How do you feel when you eat?" Instead of, "How much weight did you lose this week?" But no one asked me that, not once. So I carried those unasked questions like bricks in my chest. And beneath it all, that little ember still burned. That quiet voice that whispered, "This isn't the way." I didn't know yet where that voice would lead me. But deep down, I had started to wonder, if the experts had failed me, maybe it was time I stopped listening to them. Maybe it was time to start listening to myself. It's strange how exhaustion can start to feel like home. You stop noticing when your shoulders ache, when your breath catches, when your body becomes a list of complaints you don't have time to make. I was 26, sitting in my tiny apartment surrounded by empty containers of meal prep food and unopened gym clothes. I had spent years trying to do everything right, counting, weighing, measuring, punishing, and still I was the same, maybe bigger, definitely sadder. My life had become a loop of shame and effort. Wake up, hate yourself, try to fix it, fail, promise to do better, sleep, repeat. I don't remember what triggered it that night. Maybe it was the scale flashing a number I'd sworn I'd never see again. Maybe it was scrolling through social media and watching other women eat salads with smiles that looked real. Maybe it was nothing, just the quiet kind of despair that creeps in when you've run out of hope. I sat on the bathroom floor, legs crossed, back against the cold tile. My reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger, eyes swollen, skin tired, hair undone. I whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Not like a dramatic confession, but as a fact. I was done. Done hating food, done hating myself, done trying to shrink into acceptance. I wanted out of the war, but I didn't know how to live outside it. I stayed there for hours, just breathing, until the silence became too heavy. I turned on the faucet, let the water run, and stared at the stream. It was almost hypnotic. My mind wandered. What if this is just how life is? I thought. What if some people are just meant to struggle forever? That idea sank into me like poison, but somewhere deep inside, the ember flickered again. I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. I wanted peace. The next morning, I didn't wake up with motivation. I woke up empty. But emptiness can be powerful. It makes room for something new. I opened my fridge, saw the plastic containers of chicken and broccoli, and something in me rebelled. I threw them away. All of them. I made a peanut butter sandwich instead, and I ate it slowly. Every bite. It was the first time in years I ate something because I wanted it, not because it was on a list. I waited for guilt to come, but it didn't. Instead, I felt nothing. Then a small wave of relief. That small act, that tiny rebellion, was the first step toward something I didn't even have a name for yet. Over the next few weeks, I started questioning everything. Why did food have to be moral? Why did hunger feel like failure? Why did thinness equal worth? The questions grew louder, and for the first time, I didn't silence them. I started reading, not diet books, but research, real science. I learned about metabolism, about hormones, about how restriction leads to binging. I learned how the body protects itself. I learned that what I'd been calling lack of discipline was actually survival instinct. My body had been trying to save me all along, and I had been fighting it. That realization broke me open. It wasn't instant forgiveness. It was grief. I cried for that little girl who had learned to hate her hunger, for the teenager who starved to be seen, for the woman who was called lazy for being exhausted. I cried because I had spent most of my life apologizing for existing, and I was tired of it. So I made a quiet promise to myself. No more. No more war, no more starvation disguised as discipline, no more experts who didn't care. If I was going to keep living, it would have to be differently. I didn't know what that meant yet, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid to find out. And that was the moment I stopped giving up and started beginning. Once you stop living in punishment mode, everything feels unfamiliar. I didn't know how to exist without guilt. I'd spent so many years measuring my worth by how much space I took up, by how much food I could resist, by how many compliments I could earn through self-denial. But when I let all of that go, there was this strange, quiet freedom. It scared me. I didn't know who I was without the suffering. I remember one afternoon sitting in a small cafe near my apartment, watching people order pastries without flinching. No calculators, no shame, just joy. I envied them. Not for their bodies, but for their peace. I wanted that more than anything. So I started learning again. Not how to diet, but how to understand. I read about intuitive eating, about the psychology of hunger and shame. I listened to people who had walked away from the cycle. Their stories felt like mirrors I'd been missing. I took notes, filled journals with thoughts and questions. I wasn't studying for a grade. I was studying for my life. Then, one night, while scrolling through an online forum, I came across a woman who wrote, "I stopped hating my body when I realized it never hated me back." I froze. That line hit me like a prayer. I repeated it over and over until it sank in. My body had never been my enemy. It had been protecting me, enduring me, forgiving me. And I had treated it like an obstacle. I cried again, but this time, the tears felt different. Cleansing, honest. Something shifted after that. I started paying attention to how food made me feel instead of how it made me look. I stopped labeling food as good or bad. If I wanted pasta, I made it. If I wanted fruit, I ate it. I learned to trust the signals my body sent. It was messy. Sometimes I overate, sometimes I underate. But for the first time, I wasn't chasing perfection. I was listening. That practice, that quiet connection, began to heal something deeper than hunger. It healed the part of me that thought I didn't deserve softness. That year, I enrolled in community college. At first, I didn't even plan to finish. I just wanted to learn more about nutrition, but without the cruelty. I told myself, if they taught it wrong, maybe I can learn it right. My first day back in class, I felt like an imposter. Everyone was younger, thinner, confident. I was the big girl with a notebook full of dreams. But as the semester went on, something inside me grew. I wasn't just studying to lose weight anymore. I was studying to understand it, to dismantle the lies I'd been fed for decades. I learned about metabolism, insulin resistance, social determinants of health, things no one had explained before. It made me angry. Angry that people like me were blamed for systems that were designed to fail us. Angry that discipline was just another word for deprivation. But that anger was fuel. It burned clean. It gave me purpose. One of my professors, Dr. Morris, noticed my intensity. After class one day, he asked, "You ever think about becoming a nutritionist yourself?" I laughed, genuinely, for the first time in months. "Me?" I said. "Who would trust a fat nutritionist?" He smiled and said, "Maybe the people who actually need one." I carried that sentence like a secret. I didn't tell anyone, but it lit something inside me, a vision, a spark. I started imagining what it would look like to help others like me, to be the person I needed when I was drowning in guilt and bad advice. I pictured sitting across from a girl who hated herself the way I once did, and instead of saying, "You're lazy," I'd say, "You're tired, but you're still here." That's strength. That thought kept me going through late nights of studying, through the fear that maybe I was dreaming too big. Every time I wanted to quit, I thought of her, that girl I hadn't met yet, but who needed someone like me to exist. And in that imagining, I found my purpose. It took me 5 years to finish my degree, not because I wasn't capable, but because life doesn't stop so you can heal. I worked 2 part-time jobs while studying, sometimes taking the bus home past midnight, too tired to even think straight. There were nights I wanted to quit, when the old voices came back, the ones that whispered I wasn't smart enough, thin enough, disciplined enough to belong in a field full of people who looked nothing like me. In every class photo, I stood out. My body was a statement even when I didn't want it to be. But I kept going. Every lecture about calories and energy balance made me think of the 13-year-old me starving in her room, trying to be good. Every clinical lab where we learned to calculate BMI made me angry, because now I knew how flawed those numbers were, how they erased people like me, how they reduced complexity to a single cruel metric. The system was broken, but I refused to let it break me again. The day I graduated, I sat in the parking lot in my cap and gown and cried until I couldn't breathe. Not because I was sad, but because I had finally crossed a line I never thought I would. I had spent years believing I was the problem. Now I knew better. I wasn't the problem. The system was. The shame was. The culture that taught me to hate myself was. I didn't want revenge. I wanted change. I wanted to use what I'd learned to make something new, something that didn't start with "you need to lose weight," but with "what do you need to feel well." That became the question that built everything that came next. I started small. I rented a corner in a shared wellness space and offered consultations for women who said they were tired of dieting. My first client, a woman named Angela, sat across from me with the same expression I once wore, hope mixed with exhaustion. She told me she'd been on 30 diets in 15 years. "I'm just lazy," she whispered. I felt that sentence like a slap, but this time, I was ready. I leaned forward and said, "You're not lazy. You're tired of fighting a war you were never meant to win." She started to cry. So did I. That session changed everything. Word spread slowly. Clients told their friends, and their friends told theirs. My calendar began to fill, not with people who wanted perfection, but with people who wanted peace. I called my approach gentle nutrition, not because it was soft, but because it was radical to treat your body with kindness in a world that profits from your self-loathing. I focused on helping people rebuild trust with food, with hunger, with themselves. Some days, I still doubted myself. I'd scroll through social media and see thin, polished professionals preaching discipline, and I'd wonder if anyone would ever take me seriously. But then I'd get an email from a client saying, "For the first time in years, I ate breakfast without guilt," and I'd remember why I started. This wasn't about being liked, it was about being needed. A few years into my practice, I gave a talk at a local community center. The room was full of women of every shape and age. I told them the truth no one had told me. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a person to be cared for. When the talk ended, a woman in the back stood up, tears streaming down her face, and said, "I wish my nutritionist had been like you." I smiled, though my chest ached, because once I had said the same thing. Becoming her, the one I needed, wasn't about credentials or titles. It was about turning pain into empathy, knowledge into healing. And even on the hard days, when I doubted myself, I'd remember that version of me sitting in a cold office years ago, being called lazy. She would be proud, and she would know we made it. What started as one-on-one sessions grew into something I never could have imagined. I wasn't trying to build a brand. I just wanted to hold space for people like me, people who had spent their lives being told they were the problem. But somehow, word kept spreading. First came the emails, then the group sessions, then the local podcast that invited me to speak about food without shame. Every time I told my story, something cracked open in the listener. It was like they'd been waiting for someone to say, "You're not broken." I wasn't a celebrity or an influencer. I was just real. And I think that's why people came. They didn't want perfection. They wanted permission to stop hurting. So I gave it to them. Over time, I built a small online community. I called it The Table because everyone deserved a seat at it. No weigh-ins, no before and after photos, no talk of bikini bodies or cheat days, just real people, sharing real stories, learning to listen to their hunger and honor their fullness. One of the first members, a woman named Carla, messaged me after her first virtual workshop. She said, "I've been hiding for years, but tonight I didn't feel ashamed." I cried reading that, because I knew exactly what she meant. For people like us, healing isn't loud. It's not fireworks and transformation montages. It's quiet. It's the moment you eat a sandwich without guilt. It's deleting the calorie tracking app. It's looking in the mirror and not flinching. It's choosing rest without apology. That's the kind of healing I wanted to spread. And slowly, it did. I was invited to lead workshops at schools, women's shelters, and even corporate offices. People were hungry for this message, literally and metaphorically. They were tired of starving, of chasing a version of themselves that never arrived. And I knew that hunger. I had lived it. That's why I never judged, never shamed. I just listened and offered tools to rebuild trust. One afternoon, after a session, a young girl came up to me with her mom. She looked about 12, chubby cheeks, nervous smile. Her mom whispered, "She's been struggling. The school nurse told her to cut back." The girl looked up at me like I was some kind of lifeline. I knelt down and said, "You're not too much. Your body is not wrong." Her eyes filled with tears, and so did mine. That moment stayed with me. because I knew I had just interrupted a pattern that could have taken her years to unlearn. And maybe, just maybe, that would change her life. I began to see my work not as fixing people, but as protecting them from shame, from misinformation, from the idea that their value was conditional. I trained in trauma-informed care. I partnered with therapists. I created resources that could be shared freely, PDFs, videos, audio guides. I wanted people who couldn't afford private sessions to still feel supported. The mission was never about me. It was about us, about the millions of us who had been told our bodies were mistakes. I got pushback, of course. People called me irresponsible for not promoting weight loss. Others accused me of glorifying obesity. But I didn't flinch, because I knew the science. And more importantly, I knew the stories. I had lived them, and I had listened to hundreds more. Healing wasn't about thinness. It was about coming home to yourself, about ending the war. I still remember the day I received a message from a woman who had once been a nutritionist herself. She wrote, "I didn't know how much harm I was doing until I heard you speak. Thank you for helping me unlearn." That meant everything, because I didn't just want to help clients. I wanted to change the system, from the inside out. I started speaking at nutrition schools, advocating for education that included body diversity, food access, and the emotional impact of restriction. It wasn't easy. Change never is. But I kept showing up. Because every time someone whispered, "I thought I was alone," I remembered why I began. And every time someone said, "I wish you'd been my nutritionist," I smiled. Because that was the dream. That was the movement. Not a business. Not a trend. But a reclamation. Of food. Of joy. Of our bodies. Of our stories. I used to dream of confronting her. That nutritionist. The one who called me lazy. In my mind, I'd walk into her office wearing confidence like armor. I'd tell her she was wrong. Show her my degrees, my work, my healing. I imagined her stunned, apologizing, maybe even crying. But that moment never came. Because real justice, the kind that matters, doesn't always look like revenge. It looks like peace. And I found mine far from her office. One afternoon, years later, I was giving a talk at a local wellness conference. Nothing big, just a breakout session about compassionate nutrition. I stood behind the podium, looking out at a sea of faces, students, parents, professionals, some taking notes, others just listening with soft eyes. And in the back row, I saw her, the nutritionist, older now, still poised. She didn't look shocked or guilty, just still. I paused just for a second, not out of fear, but recognition. Then I kept going. I told my story, my full story. The pain, the shame, the lies I'd believed. And then the healing, the shift, the truth. When it ended, the room applauded. She didn't say anything. She just nodded once and left. That was enough. I didn't need her apology. I had already given it to myself. Because justice isn't about getting even. It's about reclaiming what was taken. And she had taken my trust, my hope, my sense of safety. But I got it all back. Not because she gave it to me, but because I rebuilt it piece by piece. These days, I still get nervous before workshops. I still feel imposter syndrome sometimes, especially when I walk into rooms filled with thin, polished professionals who talk about food like it's math. But then someone pulls me aside and whispers, "You helped me more in 1 hour than all my doctors did in 10 years. And I breathe, because that's justice. Not loud, not flashy, but real. I think about my younger self often. The girl crying in the bathroom, the teenager skipping meals, the woman sitting on cold tiles whispering, "I can't do this anymore." I wish I could go back and hold her, tell her she wasn't weak. She was strong for surviving. She was powerful for staying. But I can't go back. So instead, I speak to the ones who are still there, still hurting, still hoping. I tell them the truth I never heard. You are not a failure. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are human, and you are worthy of care, right now, exactly as you are. That's what justice looks like to me now. Not headlines or spotlights, but moments. Quiet ones. A client eating her favorite food without shame. A teenager deleting her diet app. A mother telling her daughter she's beautiful without "but" at the end. These moments are everything. They are the revolution. They are the justice I never got, but now get to give. And maybe that's even better. I don't want to be remembered for weight loss or willpower. I want to be remembered for gentleness, for truth, for choosing a different path, even when it was hard. I want someone years from now to whisper to themselves, "Because she did, I can." And then do it. That's how the healing spreads. That's how we win. If this story moved you, comment below with your city, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to feel seen. You are not alone, and you are not the problem.